On today's podcast, we're welcoming Melanie Whitney, who is a communication studies professor and an entrepreneur. Melanie gives people tools to have healthier relationships through conscious communication and mindfulness. Now, regardless if it's professionally or in life, conscious communication and mindfulness is becoming more relevant and prevalent. Melanie, welcome to the Business 360 podcast.
Yay. Thanks for having me, Shab.
Now, I'm so happy that you're here. I love what you're doing because, as I said, it is relevant, but prevalent at the same time. We are in the age of consciousness, and a lot of people are starting to take a look at themselves, being more empathetic. And when I speak to entrepreneurs and professionals, I constantly mention how empathy is a driving force in success today. It's not the old days where you're trying to compete with someone and take them out of business. Today it's like, how can we work together and grow together? And so, I mentioned that you are a communication studies professor. I know you're an activist as well. You're an entrepreneur, and you have a site, melaniewhitney.com. So, would love to kind of let our audience know what your business is about.
Yeah. So I'm noticing that as the years have gone on, my business mission or goal or vision is getting shorter and shorter, to be honest. And I think that's a good thing. I think it comes with clarity, right? So, really, if I was to say in one sentence, what am I doing with my business? I am giving people tools to have healthier relationships with themselves so that they then can have that communication, that meaningful communication with other people. Now, the way I'm doing that is really just by giving people skills. And the way I came into even having this business was because I've been teaching for over a decade, interpersonal communication. And I realized very quickly once I started getting the idea of maybe I'll do this, outside of academia, because it's not just college students who need these skills. It's adults everywhere. It's everybody. And as soon as I started doing my own business, I realized, wow, there are a lot of people in business in all fields that lack these basic communication skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I was young, I remember someone saying to me that business is done with people. And when you're taking that communication element out of it, you're going to have a very difficult time in the world of business. And it's even being more and more discussed even in the sales world, right? Professionals who
Yeah.
are in the sales world, like, how do you relate with your potential prospective client and not feel so salesy or things like that? While you were talking in your answer, you talked about meaningful conversations and meaningful connections. So let's start with the first one. What does meaningful connections mean?
So to me, when I say meaningful connection, what I mean when I say that is really connections that have a lasting impact. So when Rashab, you and I are done here and you go about your day and you're still thinking about our conversation, that to me means we had a meaningful connection. It was authentic. We were vulnerable, but really we were here, we were present. So a meaningful connection, I think, has a lasting positive impact.
And meaningful conversation.
In order, I would say, for us to have a meaningful conversation, that would require us first to be present, right? To be here right now, not to be in yesterday, not to be in what I need to do after we're done here, but to really be here. And I think it's another element is meeting people where they are. So you and I may be in different places on the topic at hand or in our journey. So I think in order for us to have a meaningful conversation, we need to be present, we need to be open, we need to be honest. And again, now you're going to hear me say this word quite a bit today, but this willingness to be vulnerable, to be transparent.
So in your business, you're going to be helping people get to this meaningful connection and meaningful conversation and, conscious relationship. But many of us who are unfamiliar with the how to, maybe you can explain what your business service will entail to get to that how to.
So I do it so that's always the $1,000,000 question, right? Like, how? Great, Melanie did all this stuff. Now, how do I do it? And there's two parts to this answer. One, it takes a lifetime, right? So this is a skill set where it's not something I can go master and then just be amazing at it. It is a skill set that you acquire, and I will explain how in a second, but you acquire it and then you constantly have to learn and have the emotional intelligence of when to apply this, because every 7 billion people on this planet, we're all different, and the way we engage with each other, the way I construct a message to you, the way I deliver the message to you needs to be different and tailored towards you. So that's why I believe you can never be a master of it. It's a practice. And the way how I try to help people acquire these skills and cultivate this type of communication practices is through a variety of ways. I mean, I'm a teacher, right? So I love to teach. So I love group settings. I do definitely do one-on-one services for people who want that focused attention. But I really love doing workshops and events because there's a dynamic in a group setting where you get 10, 20 people in a room and we're talking about, let's just say, accountability, right? How can we take more accountability in our interactions with one another? And when we talk about your experience and then the person next to you and the person behind you, there is this common thing that happens where we see that we're more alike than we are different. And if we can learn to listen to one another, it really just changes the way not only that we engage with others, but the way we gauge ourselves. We talk to ourselves every day. We have self-talk. And that's often where I start with people is, how are you engaging with yourself? What does the relationship with yourself look like? And kind of, bleed out into the world and all the things that you are doing, including your business. So I really start with workshops is my favorite way to do it. And we work on one skill and then we build on that. And then we build on another one. And, everyone's different, right? Everybody's different place in their journey. So that's kind of why I like the group settings. But yeah, through workshops and through one-on-one is typically how I do it.
Yeah, and through group settings also, there's more opportunity to build connections and chemistry
Yes.
with different groups, different subsets of people.
Yeah, well, and I love about the group setting, it was like, great, we've learned this skill. Let's try it right now. And it scares the crap out of everybody. They're like, no, no group work. They're like, no. But they do it and they rip the band-aid off and they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. It's taking that first step.